Dr. Hora, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How about Adolf?
Here.
And Jane?
Yes.
And the other Jane?
Here.
Now we are all together. So we have together here Dr. Hora Ohio, Jane in Linville, and Adolf in Washington.
Yes.
So let me Matthew and Orange for the previous hour to discuss the topic of this research seminar.
Yes.
The presenter this week was Anne, and she will make a few comments as to what we talked about.
Hello.
Hello. Let me just check with Jay and Adolf. Did you by any chance get my mailing about today?
This morning at plenty of time.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations, U.S. mail. Then I'll just say very briefly for Dr. Hora's benefit that the topic, as you know, was in the world, but not of it, the possibility of living trouble-free in a troubled world. And basically, the thing we wanted to understand was what the world is in this sense, and we understand it to be not a physical external place, but a mental idea about life, which is what we call human sense or personal sense, which actually operates to obscure our seeing of what life is.
That's beautiful.
And then, therefore, to overcome that is something that we do in consciousness in order to, we want to dissolve or become free, mentally free of that mistaken understanding so that we can realize what real life is. So now we'll go to our questions, and we have already somebody ready here in Orange, and that's Betty. Dr. Hora?
Yes, Benji.
First of all, do you have a comment on our topic for us?
So after this beautiful introduction I have, I'm wondering whether there is anything else to say.
Well, goodbye.
You have to room full of questions.
Okay, Betty, ask your question.
All right. At work, where I work in the office, there's a certain environment sometimes of music in the background, not always peaceful and harmonious, and voices of people speaking loudly, speaking negative, and frequently cussing or using profane language.
Yeah.
And as I sit at my desk, I feel that I am in that office, but not of it.
Yeah.
And the environment is not, one that I enjoy or feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
However, what I'd like to know, I know that nothing comes into the experience uninvited. And I know it's not a chance, by chance, that I happen to be in that particular office.
Right.
So what I would like to know is what is the meaning of us being in environment, even though we don't feel that we're a part of them.
Yeah. But it's not that so much respect in the either, but the experience. They nothing comes into experience uninvited. So if we are exposed to such a situation, we ask, what is the meaning of my experience? Interesting that different people have different reactions to the same environment. Now, apparently, your experience is an unpleasant, right?
Yeah, I don't really enjoy the loud music or profanity.
Right. Well, perhaps at one time you were better, and you are just totally out of it.
When I was a teenager, I was more involved in that type of thing, loud music and profanity. That was
That was just recently.
years ago. A long time.
Thank you, Dr. Hora.
Yeah. there are teenagers of all ages.
I'm working with teenagers that are the same age I am right now.
Okay, so you just learn to sound family. The only thing you can do is when you will do things that are getting such a point that you will neither be for it or against it. It may probably change. Either you will be lifted out of that or something you change. The important thing is to transcend it rather than fight it. You will enjoy it. Just transcend.
Dr. Hora, my main concern, I think, with that type of language and the environment was when clients come into our office.
Yeah.
I was thinking that I would like to work in a professional office, and if my clients come in, I didn't think it was a big atmosphere for them to be exposed to non-professional, more so even than myself.
And it's from an objective that fight that way. But then you'll never know whether your client would enjoy it or find the objection of events on there. They don't have to worry about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We make the rounds again. And now go to Ohio, and see if there's a question in Ohio.
We don't have a question right now yet.
Ohio question at the
We go to the east, make a big jump to Winville, Virginia. Jay, are you there?
we're question left.
No, I have a question, Dr. Hora.
Yeah.
Is this Patty?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Patty.
Hi.
Over there.
Dr. Hora, this week, the issue of personalism as it affects my ability to manage our rental property came to a head. We've talked about this before. A renter, one of our renters who has the state, only has a sum of nearly $1,000 in back rent, which was an unprecedented event. We were following legal procedures, but on the court date, the renter didn't appear. So Jay knew that he needed to obtain further legal documents and drove by the location of the property on his way to obtain those documents. Saw that the renters were moving, but by the time he returned with the proper authority to present the documents, the renters were as disappeared. When he came home to tell me of this event, instead of the dismay that I would have expected that I would experience on hearing the news and realizing the financial loss, there was that clear vision of the problem that had invited the renter's flight, and also an overall clarification of the problem of my personalism in regard to generally the way I manage our rental property. And I saw our business more clearly, that its function, and it seemed that there were no tenants and there was no landlady, and everything just seemed very clear in that moment. And with that clarity, there was such a joy that there was absolutely no sense of loss. Even though I knew that in the physical world, we had just been, deprived of or divested of a considerable amount of justified or seemingly justified income. The service had been rendered, the renter had received the housing that has failed to pay. And I wonder, at first I thought I just was aware of the joy and grateful for it. But after a couple of days and standing back, I began to say, well, how do I know that this is a full paradise? That I'm not kidding myself or euphoric, and in a few more days, I'm going to sink into a depression. that, oh wow, if this had happened once, what's going to happen again? And yet I have this sense of peace that something has been learned that will be, there's been a healing. Now, in hearing the question is, in hearing me reveal this, do you also feel confident this has been a healing? Or is there something that I'm overlooking that's evident in the way I've told you the story?
The question then is, how can we know that there has been a healing? Or are we just kidding ourselves?
We're so prone to self-deception.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking, okay, is this real PAGL? Or, just looking at the PAGL to.
Yeah.
And I know that the proof will be if it repeats itself, I know there wasn't a healing. But in the present moment, perhaps there is no question, Dr. Hora. It seemed as though it was an example of trouble-free living in a troubled world, which I read Hans' article, and I was just amazed that there was no sense of loss.
Yeah.
In spite of the seeming experience.
Yeah. But there is also a condition that people try to live in a trouble-free way by lying to themselves.
Yeah.
That people are very good at it. And so the question is, how do we know that what we are experiencing is real?
Yeah.
So that we just lying to ourselves. That's the question. And then Jay, what do you think?
Jay in Whitfield?
Yeah,
Yeah, with something to get out of that. I think that we need to pay careful attention to the emotional level of our experience. And as Patty has already said, if the experience repeats itself, then we know that we haven't learned. That I just recently have been recalling this idea of quiet joy. And I think the fruits of any spiritual insight are not very exciting. And the quietness of the joy may help us to know whether it is in fact a spiritual fruit or not.
But that is, and I should have actually be kept in mind. If we can be sincerely grateful for the lesson, but that there is the healing. So we have to examine our thoughts carefully and ask ourselves, is this lesson worth $1,000?
And I was so amazed that, and all of a sudden I looked at this and said, oh, glorious liberation, I've lost $1,000, but I've learned something so valuable. And I said,
Do you like the tenant now? Do you like the tenant?
do I love the tenant? No. Oh, do I love the tenant?
Yeah.
Did I forgive him?
That's also.
So I know that what I did was I kept thinking how badly it must be for him. The burden of having to fly away in the night.
Yeah.
And that I took the compassion well enough that I was so grateful that if I had to be one of the other participants in this experience, then I was the one that I was on my side of it rather than his. I'd rather maybe a little strong. Compassion, yeah.
All right. All right. So you just want to whether it's real bad.
Yeah.
If it's a lie, it's all bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hora.
Eagle, are you there?
Yes,
Let's turn to you for a question.
Dr. Hora, I've heard you say orientation that things can come to our attention, but need not come into our experience. Yes. Now, is that what you were suggesting to Betty in the opening dialogue in terms of her setting? That's correct. Yeah. That's all? Sure. For the moment. All right. Thank you. All right. There you go.
So we turn to Orange then, that gives Jane.
I'm Dr. Hora.
Now, that you
Isn't Jan?
Dan. All right. You spell Dan.
Jan.
Jan.
Like Jan.
That's it.
I'm Jan, but I'm different Jan.
Yeah. You're not that.
No, I'm not. We were talking about the fact that people go in monitoring and we're trying to always hide or get away from the environment that we're in.
Yeah.
And what occurred to me is I spent probably all my life trying to change me, to get me better, to get a better play, a better job, a better look. And so I'd like to know what is the meaning of trying to constantly change?
Trying to what?
Constantly changing me
Right.
or where I am.
When psychology has implanted that the original belief is the thought of man's mentality is that people have to change. And the psychiatry that people cannot change, and they don't have to. All that is needed is an internet, not change. Our internet, not change, and then everything else will change. And do you know the first principle of the psychiatry?
That I should have no other meaning before the good time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I work on that a lot.
Now that's good, because once you really learn to live by that principle, everything will change.
Mhm.
So you don't try to change yourself. Of course, even has to constantly change the head and such things.
Right.
But that's existentially important. So you don't change people. In matter of fact, if you need any direct or indirect, you take essentially valid direction, and that transforms everything, but any of being in the world.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome there.
Get over the section. If you want to answer, we have here another question along the same line. Maybe you may pursue this a little further. This is Carol.
Hi, Dr. Hora.
Yes, Carol.
The question that I had, is kind of along the same line, has to do with the meaning of the tension that seems to be between an inner adjustment or an inner realization of what really is versus an adaptation to requirements by the game that's being played out there. Seems to be an issue of balance between an inner sense of spiritual reality and the necessity to play by others' rules for survival. What is that meaning of that need for balance, the inside versus outside?
Well, again, you have a preconceived idea that there is such a thing as inside and outside. that is not of a dualism. But Jesus said, the kingdom of God will be here when the inside will be outside and the outside will be inside. But you think that you mean?
It seems to speak about wholeness.
Yeah. He wasn't talking about adjustment. He was talking about transcendence. When you understand the transcendent mode of being in the world, then you discover that there is either inside or outside. There is only the infinite object of intelligence, rather intelligent life. You always begin in a psychological language. Psychology has been educated on thinking dualistic terms and thinking to find solution on a dualistic basis. But metapsychiatry reveals to us the non-dual nature of reality and the factibility of the transcendent mode of being in the world. Have you been studying metapsychiatry long then, Meryl?
I for a few years,
For a few years.
but not had it on and off.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need to study a little more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There is something that came up here this morning I'd like to ask you about. And Jesus says, remember to God what is God's, and to Caesar what is Caesar's. And there seems to be a situation that we are in the world and maybe have to comply with things that are required in the world. Would that be the explanation of that?
But that's not probably what animal yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But when you have a transcendent you might life, then you have a available intelligence. You can deal with it. You already have something that I'm not without any particular difficulty. Grazie slowly. But it is really lasting. So nothing more is that it is not difficult to be world and not all. If we find difficulty, it can drive me with the demand. That means that we cannot sufficiently learn yet the transcendent mode of being in the world.
Dr. Hora, this is Carol again.
Yeah.
What is the meaning that that we must render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? Isn't rendering unto Caesar a game that a falsehood that should be obliterated by what really is?
Well, we never say what should be and always what shouldn't be. You want to know that.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, it means we are required to pay taxes, right?
Yes, I've noted.
In the kingdom of God, there is no paying of taxes, right?
Right.
Yeah. But the paying taxes, if we are sufficiently advised, then the paying of the taxes will not be a problem. We will not agonize over that because they'll have the intention of not taking you serious. You remember what we talked about seriousness, value, not value, to be serious. The whole world is like idiot, right? Yes, he's very idiot. No, that is up there. Ridiculous.
Thank you.
So it is Ohio's turn. How is it up there?
This Jay,
That day,
better address the definition of the world is a day. This morning, I took into consideration what I see as the world. And my question is that when I go to just to read the newspaper or watch the news, I will either lay it down and say I can't understand what they're saying, so I avoid reading it. Or when news, I get fearful, so I cannot watch it.
you know,
So I can see I'm obviously not a beneficial person in the world. And I'm wondering if you might be able to help me understand what I need to understand.
no, one of the people say that the world is meant.
I don't know what is it.
Well, never that we have popular share that the world is being a direction for. It's not so that the fifth degree you better remember. Having the world being that direction. Now, better you know that if you have to the past, because the fight, yeah, but that,
Yeah.
but the better you will understand, you better have to the world. And then you will fall back on the good principle, treat that way, rather than the people that
There is no interest in prayer, and only action in prayer.
try. Now, you that it is very principle, you will find that it's much easier to be the benefits of good and more without helping the and continue it in transcending. First, meditate to do what you are doing. It keeps the head, keeps us in bed, because that the also have a discord, intimidation, and tragedy. But all these things are the parents of you can actually thinking. Third principle can be very helpful in learning to in this world of matter.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clara.
Radical discord is
Yes.
completely incorrect matter. See, and you learn the principle, then you'll be no more medical discord.
I will endeavor to learn with it. And
Good.
thank you, Dr. Clara.
Bill?
Yeah, I have one. Could you lend me $1,000, Dr.
That's what you better say.
Something other than usury.
Dr. Clara,
Yes.
she was very good about this because he told me 2 months ago that this would happen. In a very prophetic voice, he said, if you don't do something about this man immediately, you will leave him only the option of fleeing. You mustn't trust him to pay any longer. And I refused to take legal action against the man because the man was saying his own set of things, which I believed. And obviously, we don't believe or disbelieve. So it was my mental error that brought about the loss of the $1,000. But I would like to say that my husband took it very well.
Aren't you grateful that you have a magnet in your house?
And I'm proud of the next time.
You know, just as a comment, when I was reading Isaiah this morning, I was thinking about the lack of modern prophets in terms of predicting the future the way we credit Isaiah with. It's interesting that idea would come up in conversation today. I guess we can all be prophets of the near future anyway.
Especially with our spouses.
You hear the laughter around the land.
Yeah.
What was that, Jan?
There's laughter around in the land.
Yeah.
You had a further follow-up question, Jay?
Not right now, thank you.
All right. And we move to Washington.
Yes, I was thinking of the conversation a moment ago between Jay Vogt and I for respect to the newspaper and the television and the interpersonal dramas of this constantly preying for our senses. And I was just looking here and on the study material that Anthony forwarded to us about existing in that we are inseparable from the divine mind, the mind of Christ, and the importance of our constant realization of what we really are, our divine consciousnesses, in which these interpersonal struggles are taking place. And that is really the only place then where we have any safety or where we can realize transcendence. I find that very, very helpful. I was thinking of something that Dr. Hora said about not being for or against the capital punishment, but rather primeless living, taking our stand for primeless living. Dr. Hora, what you're suggesting, apparently, is that we work constantly then with 4 W's in order to realize our capacity for transcendence over these experiences, over these situations that come to our attention, such as the news reports on TV and the newspapers. Is that right? Yeah, right. I think that I guess we have had trouble with this. The natural tendency is to see oneself as a part of the drama, constantly to get caught in dreams. And inside the drama, it's so engaging. The rest is what is the inhibiting nature of the world event. Yeah, that it would seem to me that self-confirmation is very self-confirmatory. Yeah. At least you know where you stand and who you are on that level. Right. You have an identity. Right. You know, and an interest, apparently. You can read better in experiential believing. That's the book. That's the book. Everybody is interested in experience life. And that is demonic. Because life cannot be experienced. All enters experience.
Did you say that is demonic?
Demonic.
What does that mean?
That will make you do it. Somebody in the call said define the demonic is God. Define the demonic is the elevation of the finite into the infinite. For making something godly out of something which is really not. Granted, no. That's very helpful. No. Yeah. But if you confront yourself with the fact that the human purpose is there, You are very interested in experiencing life. Now, the ninth principle of metapsychology says that a reality can either be experienced or imagined. It can't, however, be realized. Exactly. That's right. So we see that all the calamities of the world are based in the universal assumption that life can be experienced. So people are trying to have that sensitive experience that's pleasurable and possible. And if pleasurable is not possible, then it's better to painful. Yes, but it is experience that everyone is looking for. It just occurs to me as you're speaking that what we really experience is in truth our thoughts. What we see to be reality that is misperceived reality is really an outpicturing of our thoughts and our images. That's where and it just occurred to me when you take no thought, then the world in that sense tends to disappear. Right. If you have no thoughts about it any longer, where you're not engaged or interested in the thought, or being experienced down there. It just seems like it's the world kind of losing its charm. Yes, especially if the sense of interaction and experience. Now the question is of if life cannot be experienced and the quest for experience is an error, what is that? Well, we have PAGL. So what is that? Is that an experience? I look at it as really quality, the conscience. Yes. Really, it's very emotional. Now, the earth shaking or stirring, they could usually associate with what's going on in your head or in your body. Yeah, it seems to be beyond that. Yeah, but yet nonetheless very real. Yeah, real based love or beauty. Yeah, appreciation. So that is the alternative for experience in life, the realization of those values. The alternative to then existence is soul existence. Soul existence. We are living soul. And then we understand that better is one is just to experience life. But certainly we can understand the hopelessness of the struggle against drug addiction and sexual perversion and wars and the movement of war and the actions of various kinds. It will never stop until people discover both existence as the only alternative to experiential life. He was a tremendous path lies before us. As long as we will never feel until he becomes more independent in soul existence than in experience, eyes and bones and thrill and excitement, etc. And the whole world is that way, except to a path which are not many. So that's coming from.
You're going to board with
Dr. Ron,
get better.
I was wondering if you could elaborate a little more on soul equals.
Perfect is the concept junior God to awareness of net intelligence. Every breath comes to them, every act, net intelligence. PAGL is clear, and there is no such experience, but you is a correct experience that can use fascinating. But any experience, and the PAGL is that mankind is unaware of the possibility and feeling toward joy and true happiness is spiritual. This is happiness through experience, measurable experience. And that is the balanced way that the body element in the human condition.
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
Welcome.
Dr. Hora, this is Dan in Morris.
And that
I work with bleeding disorders, and I find that the patients that seem very mesmerized by the thoughts, or the anorexic patients, they seem to be mesmerized by thoughts about themselves, their body, and fat. And the question is, what is a good way to see this patient to help them, because they seem to not be able to move from this hypnotic state.
well, the eating is about you have to buy the experience of eating or not eating.
Yes.
And they quickly help by helping them to become interested in something which is either eating or not eating. As neither bad or feeling. It means that they are living souls, is trying to grasp, and happiness is peace, assurance, that is themselves. And when they discover that that is the real issue of life, that is real life, then the whole mental fixation and eating or not eating, mental eating, disappears from consciousness because the shift that takes place in the mental preoccupation. And that is called a healing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to follow up on eating? Any other questions, maybe anywhere else on this subject of eating or not eating?
Thinking.
Thinking or not thinking, or thinking.
I have a different sort of question, but
Right.
I'll wait my turn.
No, why don't you go ahead?
I'm wondering, we mentioned capital punishment in the paper that Ann sent. I'm wondering if the judicial proceeding, someone commits a crime, the policeman arrests them, they go to court, and perhaps they go to prison. Can this be understood as rendering unto Caesar? It's not if someone commits a crime against me, just someone is killed and they arrest the person and they go to jail. In the world, that would be rendering under Caesar the wrong which are Caesar. And that's the first question. Is that a good way, an intelligent way of looking at that experience in the world?
Okay, the question reminds me of the man recently started studying methamphetamine very heavily because he is in jail for cocaine, selling cocaine. And this man has become very interested in metapsychiatry, and he is very grateful for it and sent the message. Then he realizes that he couldn't the whole thing on himself because nothing comes into experience uninvited him. And while he was reading Beyond the Dream, it occurred to him that he was fascinated for many years with the experience of imprisonment. A tremendous change had taken place of the event of discovery. He had earned responsibility for his experience in jail, and he left interest in being in jail and prayed that he might find a way of forgiveness and having other interests in life, having experiences. You're using cocaine to have experiences, to are selling cocaine to pay for the experiences. And then he got himself arrested and condemned for 25 years in prison to fulfill his craving for the experience. So that is substantiating the principle that nothing comes into experience uninvited. When you understand this truth of this principle, you see that we don't have to speculate about the judicial system and this and that. We want our consciousness, bring our fantasies and invalid cravings to experience life. That's the basic protection. Life is not really an experience.
We could say that the arrest and the criminal justice system helps him to find it. All things work together for good.
Well, yes, eventually, and metapsychiatry and God, before he
Right.
give a damn about God experience. He was the that experience in life that intensely acceptable.
That's right, Dr. Hora.
And intensively,
Intensively.
or intensively, as you wish. You got the wrong emphasis.
But we can't mistake your accent.
Right, going together. Well,
See, are there any more questions here? We have a live group in Orange, and there were a lot of questions when we started. Maybe they have been answered. Ralph, did you still have a question? Yes, go ahead, Peter. It is Ralph.
Hold on. What importance should I give to what others think of me? Zero.
Zero. One down.
Suppose I have a friend that I have to deal with who gives a lot of work stress. But I just give them your friend, the matter you have to that. What others think of it. Have other people in the hand to right. That's where I work. You don't have to direct. You just have to give it some right, yeah. We come through here. But you know that there is no direction anywhere. There is only action everywhere. Without you direct either, we respond right here. So, that is good too. Right, I'll try to. Okay, now.
Let's see, were there any questions in Ojai? Yes, Vera.
And then that.
And Victor Vera and the 13 got if you are here for hashtag work for others, then you are experiencing ourselves work. But if you are not interested to be here for others or for ourselves,
Yes.
then whatever comes in our attention is not becoming an experience, but it becomes an event.
An event in consciousness, right? Either value or not value.
Which has a meaning.
Yes. Everything has a meaning.
So for the living soul, the life is not experience, but it's a learning or meaning.
No, I did explain already doesn't have to learn that. You already know they the transcendent observer and meanings are constantly revealing themselves to you. And we that get involved in that, you do life with infinite compassion and with the beneficial presence in the good.
So that's the event.
Event.
Event.